Hello, and a good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, good and wonderful people of YouTube. Hope today, hope you're feeling good and all is well in your world. Today, people of YouTube, I want to do like a kind of semi-teaching video. It's not really a teaching video, but it's just something that I've I mess around with a lot and I really enjoy, and it's called, I call it chord tapping. I don't know if that's probably not the correct term for it, but that's what I call it. So, it's what it is. But basically what it is what you heard in the intro. It's actually creating a melodic passage using tapping. Instead of just kind of like using tapping to go, that kind of thing. It's actually using tapping chords with a root, third, major third, minor third, and a fifth to actually make a a chord sound, but actually make it kind of just sound a bit different. So like that's an E minor chord. So basically I want to talk about that because it's something I really enjoy doing, and it can make things really interesting. Like if you do it really, really fast, I reckon sometimes it sounds like a keyboard. It reminds me of the Stranglers. It's got that kind of that kind of thing, and I really like using tapping in that way. It's kind of like it's not just used to kind of like to as a technique. It's actually used as part of the song, if that makes any sense. It's actually doing something musical instead of just kind of like look at me, blah, 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 that kind of thing. And I really like this, so I'm going to talk about kind of like how to do that today. So I'm going to leave the camera where it is for the time being, actually. When I get to some examples, I'll bring the camera in a little bit closer. But right now, we'll stay where we are. So, this came to me, because Eddie Van Halen did it. And I really liked the idea of it. And at the time, I was kind of looking for something different to do. Keeping it melodic, though, that's been my thing for ages, has to work musically. It has to be a musical thing. So I was watching Eddie Van Halen, this massive spree on Eddie, and he was doing all these kind of like chord things. I don't think I can play any of them because it's probably copyright, but so like this. Extra dodgy note in there just in case. Anyway, he was doing stuff like that, and I was like, I really like that concept, and I just kind of sat down with the guitar and I was thinking, well, if I want to play like an E minor chord but tap it, that's E, that's my root. My third, if it's an E minor, will be there, and then the fifth will be there. And I was like, well, that's an E minor. And at the time, the trio were covering Don't Believe a Word by Thin Lizzy. And I was bored of doing, we'd been covering that song for quite a while, and I was kind of bored of doing pseudo Brian Robertson. I wanted to do something different. And this all came about in perfect timing. I got into Eddie just as I wanted something new to add to the, the guitar skill set, if you will. And I love that. Things happen when they're supposed to, people do. I'm totally convinced of it. Anyway, I was getting a bit bored of, like I say, doing the pseudo Brian Robertson licks and that starting the solo with this wah thing going. That thing, it was getting a bit on my nerves. I was a bit tired of it, to be honest with you. So I dove into this and I thought, well, how about instead of doing a guitar solo, when it comes to guitar solo, all I'll do is tap the chords out. So the chords to Don't Believe a Word, they kind of does this comping thing on A minor for a while. And then goes to B minor, C major, G major. And I was like, okay, well, what's that then? So A minor. So A minor's there, D minor's there, C major, G major. And then it was A, G, F. So I was like, oh, okay, so. And it's D, C, G. And all of a sudden I was like, that's really cool. So every gig we did, I would tap the solo and it would sound a bit like this, and I think I can get away with it because it's technically not really the song. But I really enjoyed it, so because it was something different, and again, it was a challenge at the time because I'd never really dove into tapping too much. I had in the past I could do it and this, that and the other, but I'd never really found a way to use it that I liked. It was always the case of that kind of thing, and I always found it a bit unmusical. Tapping can be really musical at times, but I found that way of using it just didn't really appeal to me. So I came up with that, and again, let me see if I can play it without messing up. And it sounded, the solo, instead of just being Brian Robertson, sounded like this. Yeah, something like that. I'm getting the wrong tempo there, but you know what I mean. And it sounds so much cooler. And I was like, I love this. This is great. I'd really enjoy it. And like, there are times when I haven't actually, or have I? No, I haven't. I haven't actually written a song yet where this is a thing. This is just something that's kind of still percolating and kind of like, I'm waiting for the right time to be able to use this. But I thought I would show you it. So, like I say. Let me move the camera in, actually, you'll be able to see it a bit better. So, if I put you there, PeopleTube, and put you down here so you can see the guitar neck better. Okay, so now the LCD screen's upside down. So, like I say, if we want to do a very simple chord progression, say E minor, D major, and C major, all we need to do to be able to tap that is find our root note, so E minor, so we've got an E there. And then we need to find our third. So if we want it to be a minor, it wants to be there. I always go like it's 2 frets up for a minor. Okay, so da da da. And then we need a 5th, which is there on the 14th fret on the A. So it's like a piano chord. So this is the E minor kind of piano chord. And this is just it tapped. Again, if you wanted to be major with that, it would be basically just sharpen the flat third. So instead of it being on the 10th fret, it's on the 11th. And it sounds really cool switching major to minor. And again, you can do that just by checking the thing. Can't tap with my middle finger. So we have an E minor chord there. So this is what I'm going to use for this example. E minor, D major, and C major. So we've got our E minor. So again, any kind of pattern. So next one we want D major. So find the root note D on the A string, which is there. Now we want a major chord. So it wants to be up 3 frets, not 2. If it was up 2 frets, so 1, 2, and then you put your finger down, that's a minor. We don't want that. We want it to be a major. So we need to push that one up 1 more. So it's a 3 fret gap. And then we need to find our 5th. And the 5th is always, well, it's either, how to explain this? So let's come back to E for a sec. So if you're doing a minor chord, on this side, there's always a 2 fret gap. And on this side, there's a 3. So 1, 2, 3. Oh, 4, sorry. Doi. Technically 3, because... So you got 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you tap on. So technically 4, I suppose. And then that's... I don't know. I'm getting confused now, people with YouTube. I really planned this one well, didn't I? Anyway, we will persevere. I see it as 2 and then 3, because these are the frets I'm not using, and I tap on the one afterwards. That's what's making sense to me. And I'm just trying to see if that will work for you. Hopefully you can, again, if I mess up, you can see what I'm doing, hopefully, and and still hopefully learn. But like I see it as 2 fret gap. So if you're doing a minor tapping chord, root third is 1, 2 gap, and then finger down. So technically 3 frets up, and then your 5th will be 1, 2, 3, 4 frets up. Okay, so that's a minor. So root 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, it's better to do it in 3s and 4s. My way of thinking will not translate. So yeah, root note 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have an E minor chord. Now if we want that to be major, we need to kind of switch these around. So now we've sharpened the third, and we have 4. So major is 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 5th, that's the major third. And now the 5th is 3. 1, 2, 3. I hope this is making sense, PeopleTube. So again, minor, root note, miss a fret, finger down, and then miss a fret, finger down. That's minor. So major, again, finger down, miss a fret, finger down, miss a fret, finger down. So hopefully that made some kind of sense. As usual, I am terrified that I've totally ruined this video already. Yay! Hopefully it makes sense. Anyway, so we have a E minor. So now we want to get to our D major chord, right? So again, so it's a major chord, so it needs to be the reverse. So we have 4 on the root side and then 3 on after the major third. So finger down on the D, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So now we have D major. So E minor. And D major. And then we're going to do C major. Okay, so C major, again, reverse. So we go finger down on the C note on the A string, and we go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's our major third, and then we go 1, 2, 3, and we have a C major. And it's as easy as that, PeopleTube. You can take any progression from that point. Once you know these shapes of a major shape and a minor shape, you can kind of take any progression and kind of morph it into it. So again, E minor, D major, C major, back to D, and again, it's all about the root notes. So again, if you know where all the root notes are on your neck, which is kind of important, again, I'll show you something in a sec that can help you with that. There's nothing you can't achieve. Like I say, that the don't believe a word thing, A minor, D minor, C major, G major. And again, it's just super cool to, instead of having like a chord progression that kind of goes, which is cool, does something a bit different. And I find it a little bit more musical than just kind of like, widdly tapping. It's just something I really enjoy doing. Another progression I really enjoy is this C major, G major, and D major progression. So again, if we're after C major, that's a C. Oh, let me talk about this octave thing of how to find root notes. So the way I find root notes on other strings, PeopleTube, is this way. So if I've got a G here, I'll have a G here, octave. And the way you do that is basically skip a string, and it's 2 frets up on the next string. So if I'm on the 3rd fret here with a G, skip a string, and then miss basically miss a fret out, and that'll be my octave. So that's A, B, C, D, C sharp. So hope that made sense. So find your root note on the low string. So yeah, like I say, like for instance A, and then just miss this fret out, miss this string out, and go there on the D string. And there's always a gap, octave chords. You always miss a string out. So if you're playing it on the E string, you'll miss out the A string. If you're playing it on the A string, you miss out the D string. Now where things get a bit weird and wacky is when you get to the B string, because of its the weird tuning necessary thing. We have 2 fret gap instead, and on the B and high E as well. But it's basically the same deal. So if you want to find your G root note on your B string, because we're missing the G because of, again, octave skipped, we don't use that. We don't need that fret. We're missing 2 frets. So 1, 2, 3. And again, same thing on the B and high E. G and high E. If you're after your octave of a C, again, it's just missing 2 frets, playing the third one up, 1, 2, 3. And that's an easy way of finding your root note, people tube. And again, doing this tapping chord thing, you really need to know where your root note is. So again, if your chord progression is A minor, C major, G major, you need to be able to find. You can do it up here if you want. But say you're getting in the way of the bass line of a song, which you possibly would be there because it's quite low. You want to go to the next octave up, find your A root note, miss out the A string because again we don't need that one, we're after the octave. Count 1, 2 frets up from there, 1, 2, 3. 3 frets, sorry, I must get it right, Davey. 3 frets up from there. We have our octave chord, so now this is our root note. We want an A minor, so we count up 3 frets, 1, 2, 3. Got our minor third. Count up another 4 frets to a fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have our fifth. And then C major. Find a C. It's all about economy as well. You don't want to be going. It sounds cool, but you want to be minimal movement, I reckon, people tube. But again, if you want to kind of like go for crazy stretches, go for it. But me personally, not really into that kind of thing. I want to be very localized. So again, if that chord progression is A minor, C major, G major, C major third, fifth, and then G major, G major third, fifth. I hope this is making some kind of sense, people, and I hope it's kind of like something kind of like you can go away and mess around with, really, because it's really good fun to just kind of like spend hours and hours and hours just kind of messing around with these kind of like progressions. So just off the top of my head. It's just a giggle, and I really like it because again, it's using tapping in a way that just seems way more musical and melodic than just kind of like say widdly tapping and stuff like that. I do love tapping, I really do. I mean, for the longest time, I stayed away from it because I was like, oh no, I don't want to get into that world. But I really love this kind of tapping. Like I say, the idea of it is still kind of percolating in me. I haven't really used it for anything yet, but I like sitting down and messing around with it every now and again, just kind of like seeing what I can come up with. Because again, it just makes chord progressions really interesting, and it can make very interesting sounds in different pieces of music. You can have like delays on. I'm terrible with that because I've got it set to the wrong tempo. Oh, he's clever. But yeah, you can have so much fun with it, Pikachu. Let me just move you back into position here. And then come up here, people. Hello, it's me again. So yeah, I hope there's something in this video you can kind of take away and have fun with, because it is fun. It really is fun. And I really enjoy doing it. It's just nice to sit down and kind of like play in a different way, if that makes sense. But again, keeping it melodic and chord-based, which I love. I do love chord-based stuff. I do like riffs as well, obviously, but chords have so much to them. You can pick out, if you've got like a D minor chord, you can pick so much out of just that one chord. And just changing one note can alter the entire vibe of it. You know, I love it. I love what you can do with chords. Again, adding things as well. It's so cool. I love chords. I'm like literally scratching the surface of like learning how to use them like in a really cool way. But I really enjoy it. And again, the tapping thing really has helped with that loads. I can really just get like do chord progressions in different ways. And again, to me, it reminds me of, like I say, like the Stranglers. It's got a kind of like, you know, it's got that kind of thing to it. Anyway, BooTube, I hope that's made some kind of sense. As usual, I'm convinced this video is garbage, but I think about everything I do, including waking up in the morning. Anyway, yeah, I hope there's something in there. I'm having a bit of a crisis, so I'm going to go and play guitar and try and forget my brain. But yeah, I hope that's made some kind of sense with you. And I say, I hope there's something in there you can kind of go away and have fun with. I hope I've explained it okay, so it actually does make sense. And again, just find your majors and minors, get those shapes, and eventually the shapes will just stick in your head, and you won't have to think about, oh, I've got to skip 2 frets or 3 frets or 4 frets or whatever. They'll just be there. So when you go for a minor, you'll just go, oh, it's this shape and this is a major. You know, it'll just eventually stick. You just got to kind of work at it for a while and, you know, put the hours in and get it locked in there. But it is good fun. I really do. Like, I can't recommend this enough because it is really good fun. And again, it adds different level and a different dynamic to the playing. It's not, you know, if you're just playing chords, you know, or you want to jazz up your guitar solo, you can just play the chords in tapping. And again, I like that Don't Believe a Word solo. It was like, oh my God, this is so much more like fulfilling because it was like something different instead of just trying to be Brian Robertson all the time. And I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, hopefully I've explained it okay so you can go away and mess around with it, PeopleTube. If I haven't, then I really apologise. I'm so sorry. But hopefully I've done it okay. As usual, I'm terrified I've just screwed everything up, but that's me. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this vid, PeopleTube. If you like the videos I do here, please consider becoming a patron at Patreon. Link to that is in the description box below, as well as a link to my Bandcamp where you can go and listen to my music. But yeah, other than that, PeopleTube, have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. Go on, mess around with some melodic chord tapping. Again, it's probably not called chord tapping, but that's what I call it. I don't know what it would be called. Monkeying around, probably. Anyway, yeah, hope you enjoyed this vid, and I'll see you again. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening.